Continuing our videos on investment blunders, the next one, I'm not numbering them because it's getting too long, is to see how much of asset allocation you should do. How much should you have in debt, how much should you have in equity, how much should you have in equity, how much should you have in debt which you can't touch. For example, if you bought yourself an annuity for 2 crores of rupees, that 2 crores is not accessible to you. You will not be able to touch it at all. You will only get it in the form of pension. You need to understand that that money is no longer liquid. Yes, it is a debt instrument, but it's not a great yield. The return is taxable. All that in its place. The worst thing about an annuity is it's not liquid. So understanding that asset allocation as to how much in equity, how much in debt, how much in liquid, how much in a 30-year bond, how much in a 3-month paper, how much in a savings bank account, understanding all that in terms of cash flow planning and all that is very important. So asset allocation also means where you want to locate the asset. That is also important. If you take the US, they will say keep it within the taxable, keep it in Roth and all that. In India, you don't have those things, but you still have to understand that some products, like if you bought an endowment plan for 30 years, the optimum return is got only at the end of 30 years. Anywhere else between, if you try to withdraw, it will become less attractive. First of all, it's not a great product. I'm not recommending the product, but you have to understand that yes, it is a debt instrument to which you will have access after 30 years if you have taken a 30-year endowment plan. Right, you need to understand that. Many people don't understand the difference between liquidity and whether it is debt or equity. Yes, debt or equity is important, but after that, to understand how much cash you need access and how much cash you don't need access, because it's always a payoff between how long it will be held locked up and the return that you get. So you can keep all your money in savings bank account, which will be extremely liquid, but it is no longer profitable. So if you want it to be profitable, then you have to sacrifice on liquidity. What you don't want to compromise is safety. So safety, liquidity and returns, all three you have to juggle the ball, making sure that you never compromise on S, but L and R are inversely related. The more liquid your asset, the less will be the return, the longer that you lock in. So simple example is your bank fixed deposit for 2 years will carry a lower rate than your PPF for 15 years, but that is stuck for 15 years. You need to understand this. Many people don't understand. Another thing is there are very many reasons why you should seek an advisor, but the most important reasons are two. One, you are not interested in doing it. Not everybody wants to spend their Saturdays and Sundays or whatever time on looking at numbers and seeing how is this fund doing, do I need to redo that kind of work. If you are not interested in that, you will not develop competencies to do that. So why would you want to do it at all? Because you have good advisors available. Now comes to choosing an advisor. Please spend a lavish amount of time in choosing the advisor. So first of all, you may not be competent to do it. Second, you may not be interested in doing it. Third, expertise is available. Somebody will sit with you and do it for you, and of course charge a fee. So whom should you have as an advisor is something which you have to, somebody who understands taxation, somebody who understands investment, somebody who understands you, right? And when the three of you meet, in the sense that when all these skills meet in one place, that is when a good advisor is born. Yesterday I was talking to a friend, and his money is so inefficiently invested that he gets bank interest on which he pays 30% tax, and he uses that to pay his son's college fees, engineering college fees. So it's a simple thing, right? If the money was lying in his son's account and coming to his son, the son was not paying any tax, son was a student. Couldn't this have been managed, right? So the combination of understanding taxation, investments, combining, and then offering a solution is not easy. Not too many people are willing to do that. Not too many people are available for that, and at a reasonable fees, because you don't want to pay too much of fees. That is another mistake which people do. They pay a huge amount of fees. right? So many tech platforms of banks, etc., were charging you fees for doing an SIP not long ago, right? This is not very long ago that you were being charged 30 rupees for every debit because you were coming in doing an SIP through their broking arm. If you went to the bank, they were not charging, but the broking arm was charging and saying, oh, we can't help it, the bank is charging, right? So they were playing all those games, and today you know that you can get websites which are free where you can go and do your investments, or you go to the mutual fund website and do it directly and you don't have to pay somebody. But when you're hiring an advisor, make sure that your interests are aligned. Pay him a commission on your total assets, not just on the assets which he is managing, because otherwise he will never allow you to withdraw money from a bad debt instrument to repay your home loan, right? So pay a smaller percentage but on total assets, so that where you locate the asset should not matter to that person. So make sure that your incentive system, your returns, what you want is aligned to what you're paying for, so that you can sit with that person and say, I want this done and I want this done and I don't want this done, right? So make sure that you sit, you understand what you want, you articulate, and your spouse or your children, whoever is going to manage in your absence, they're all involved, they're all in the same page. Don't try, especially don't try retirement planning without the help of an advisor, and don't take the first advisor whom you meet. Take a long time in establishing the relationship with the advisor. Spend a lavish amount of time, because this is like marriage, right? You may go and see 5 girls or 5 boys, depending on your gender, and you choose one, and then you have to put your effort to make that relationship work. Of course there is divorce, but divorce can be very painful, and it's not, you don't get into a relationship saying, I can always use divorce. Of course that is available, but you don't want to use it, right? Yes, there are divorces happening after 20-30 years of marriage. All that is also happening, but don't get into a relationship saying that, oh, anyway I can divorce, so let me not worry too much. Sit, spend time lavishly on the advisor, and then having chosen that advisor, make sure that you're both in sync with the same thing. Your requirements are understood, you articulated well, you put it down in writing, he or she has corrected it and made changes and suggested why you need more medical insurance or less medical insurance, less life insurance. You've decided, you've signed off. Then have it in agreement saying what you will do, how often will you do a preview, what is the meaning of preview, whether there will always be changes or whether there will be no changes, how long will you let a fund manager money stay in one fund. I've let my money stay in funds for 20 years. It has not bothered me. But the question is, what is your personality? What is your advisor saying, right? So all those things are important, and all those things can be a big blunder. Another blunder, I mean, when I'm saying each of these things is a blunder, this is what I mean, is falling for Ponzi schemes, or falling prey to somebody coming and saying, I want to do business, will you help me? These are 2 words which you should not even hear when you are in your retirement. You just don't have the money to help somebody getting into business. Don't do this, because that person is not able to raise money from organized sources. He or she is coming to you. Maybe they are setting up a hotel in Madhya Pradesh, maybe they are doing something like that, but if they are not competent, your money is gone. You cannot afford to invest on your hunch, saying, no, acha aadmi hai, I know, he is my brother-in-law's friend. These are not excuses to risk your retirement money. The other problem is giving loans to friends and hoping that it will come back. Sometimes it comes back, sometimes it doesn't come back. It could be a small amount. It could be 1,000 rupees, it could be $10,000, whatever, depending on whichever jurisdiction, wherever you are. Don't give loans, because today loans are available to people. So you say, why don't you go to your bank? Why don't you borrow on your credit card? There are various ways to borrow. You are not a banker, you don't understand banking, therefore thou shall not lend, because a loan normally loses itself and the friend, right? So if you give your friend a loan, you will lose the money and the friendship, because he is not going to, or she is not going to call you, talk to you. That's it, the end of the relationship. Don't lose your friend and the money. You will have to say no very politely. So if it's a husband and wife, the best trick to play is to say, these are joint decisions, so I will ask my wife and tell you, or if it's a wife, and if it's her brother asking or her father asking or very close, then you have to have some view on how will you handle these things, because one parent may be asking, one parent may never ask, perhaps one sibling may ask, one sibling may not ask. So have a policy on that, but largely the answer is no. And another way how people lose money is to lose money to Ponzi schemes. It is very easy to cheat senior citizens. I had my father-in-law, I've spoken about him in some other thing, some other video, where somebody came and sold him some oil worth 25,000 rupees. This is about 15 years ago. He had no clue what he had bought. He was told that if he puts it in his ear, his hearing will improve and all this will happen, and he just fell for it. A man who would not spend 400 rupees on a hearing aid was willing to spend 25,000 rupees. I was sure it was some kind of mesmerizing which had happened, and he made the payment. Luckily for me, I could stop the payment and cancel the check and get back the check. So that was done. But falling for Ponzi schemes, falling for multi-level marketing, right, all those things are another retirement blunder. I mean, it's just a life blunder, but it completely can screw up your retirement if you do that, because at retirement you don't have time to earn the money. If you lose money at 32, the advantage is you may not have had too much to lose. You're just starting to build your financial life. But when you lose at 62, you have a bigger amount, so you could have lost a bigger amount and you don't have time to earn it back, right? So this is a terrible thing. Be careful about Ponzi schemes. Thank you.